Hey there, it's Coach Tracey Knight again, and I want to welcome you back to Real Women, Real Leaders, Real Talk. And this is a show where I want to always be bringing just the most important topics for women who are in leadership. They're leading at home, they're leading at work, and they're leading in the community, and oftentimes may not feel like they have the support or resources or this sense of understanding. And I want you to know that you are absolutely not alone. I'm there, I'm here with you, but I also understand it because I am a woman who owns her own business, have owned it for several decades. And, it's taken a lot. I also have a significant other. I have bonus children. I have a family that I love. I have friends. And you're trying to figure out how to balance it all and achieve career success, which is exactly what I want to talk about today. That career success does not just happen by happenstance. You actually have to create that. You have to make that happen. And the way that you make that happen is through one thing: the law of intentionality. John C. Maxwell calls it the law of intentionality. And so, what does it mean to really be intentional? To be intentional means that you are very clear about what it is that you want to accomplish and that you take actionable steps towards achieving that. So you don't sit and think that things are going to happen just out of osmosis. You actually create an environment for it to happen in. Really successful people like Oprah Winfrey, I remember one time saying, when people were asking her, how does she get to be so successful? And she says, it's where opportunity meets preparation. And there's no better example than that, where opportunity meets preparation. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And staying ready means that you're constantly in the process of bringing that vision that you have for your career to bear. You're constantly putting a little paint on the house every single day, and you're preparing yourself for that success, for the opportunity to present itself. But there are 8 gaps that I really want you to be acutely aware of that could be getting in the way of the career success that you desire. A lot of times I hear, in especially some of the more high profile professions, the legal field, it can be in the medical field, it can be in the STEM fields, especially where they are more male dominated professions. Women will oftentimes feel like they are not recognized in that career field, or they're not given some of the same opportunities to advance. And I know that can be very frustrating, for sure. But one of the things that you do in order to mitigate that, is for you to be fully prepared. And it's not always about going and getting another degree. That can be a part of it, but it's not exclusively about that. So I want you to pay careful attention to these eight growth gaps that are traps that can keep you from achieving the success that you truly desire in your career. Okay, here we go. Growth gap number 1 is the assumption gap. This is where you make the assumption that you'll just grow. Here's what I know for sure, and I've seen this with some of my friends. And that is that you've gone to school, you've maybe gotten a lot of degrees, and you've gotten some terminal degrees. And you assume that because you got those degrees and you've put in that time, that it's all ended. So I've done school and that's it. I should be fully prepared and ready to go. And growth is going to happen automatically. I'm going to automatically get those promotions as well, because they'll recognize these credentials. And so, and I will always be prepared to step into the position because growth will happen automatically. And that is not the truth. Growth does not happen. So let go of the assumption that growth happens automatically. You must be very intentional about growth. And just because, which I'm going to talk about in the next gap in just a second, just because you got a lot of degrees does not mean that you actually have growth. That's 2 different things. There is a distinction between knowledge and growth. Okay. So You don't make the assumption that you're going to grow into being a leader or grow into a management position or to grow into, don't make the assumption that just because you have some degrees behind you, some knowledge behind you, even certain experiences, don't make the assumption that you're going to automatically be prepared. You must bridge the gap by being very intentional about putting yourself into experiences that cultivate the kind of growth to be a leader, the caliber of leader that is needed to be in the career success that you desire. You have to create that. Okay. So number two is the knowledge gap. Oftentimes people do have a knowledge gap. Now, let me talk about that. I want to go beyond knowledge. Let's talk about this from a learning perspective. I'm going to change this and call it the learning gap. Okay. There are 4 levels of learning. Myron Golden does an outstanding job of talking about the 4 levels of learning, but I'm going to break this down for you and put some of my own spin on it. You know, the first level of learning is ignorance. Now, ignorance does not mean that you are an ignorant person. That is not what that means. Ignorance is quite simply the absence of truth. That's all it means. And so when you are at that base level, I like to say that you're unaware. In that moment, you're unaware. So you're ignorant because you're really unaware. And so what happens here is you have the opportunity to learn about. So I want to ask the question, what is it in your career that you need to learn more about? Like you just were unaware that this even existed. So you need to learn about it. The second level of learning is the level of knowledge. Now, knowledge is just information. Okay, that does not mean that you have a deep understanding of it. It's just information. And this is where you learn the next step with knowledge. It's just to go out and allow yourself to be taught by someone. A lot of times that will come with certifications and degrees and that type of thing. But it's still, you know, just having the information does not mean that you have a deep understanding of it. That's the third level of learning. So the third level of learning is learning to do. This is where you learn how to develop skills. You have to take that knowledge and apply it. Okay, you have to take the knowledge and actually apply it. And so that is how you develop a level of understanding, is through application. So where in your career do you need to take some knowledge and actually get in there and start applying it so that you can develop the muscle, which is the skill to be a master at it, which takes us to the 4th level of learning. And that level of learning is where wisdom takes place. And that is where you learn by doing. And what I mean by that, if the level of understanding is learning to do, meaning skills, then learning by doing is where you can actually teach somebody else to do it. That means you have integrated with it. That means you have made it your own. That means that you now can teach anybody at any level how to do it. You've become a master at it. So this sort of learning gap, if you will, you may be saying, I don't know how to grow. Of course you do. Are you willing to humble yourself to say, like, hey, I wasn't aware of this. Now I want to become aware of it. I'm going to develop some knowledge around it. I'm going to practice it so that I can develop the skill, and I'm going to master it so that I can teach it to other people. You can learn to grow. Okay, the next gap is the timing gap. The timing gap is basically where we say to ourselves, and ladies, I know that you all say this, and that is that I don't have enough time, or this isn't the right time. Let me tell you, your career is not going to just magically appear. You actually have to put in some time and energy and some effort to create the circumstances that you want. We make time for the things that are important to us. So I must wait for the right time is like thinking that it is outside of you. Are you waiting for the right time for your kids to grow up? Are you waiting for the right time for your supervisor to recognize you? Are you waiting for the right time for the organization to make some type of transformation or transition? Stop waiting. The right time is right now. You must get into action if you want to close the timing gap. The 4th one is the mistake gap. And in the mistake gap, it's where you have the belief that I don't want to make mistakes. This is such a big one. Oh my God. It creates a lot of fear, and it's coming from the place of not wanting to appear to be somebody who is a failure or who doesn't know what they're doing. But let me tell you, the way that we truly learn, going back to that level of understanding where you take knowledge and apply it so that you have a deeper understanding of it and you build a skill from it, there's going to be a lot of repetition and a lot of faltering, a lot of failure comes with that. And that's because that is how we learn as human beings. So get over the idea that you're not going to make mistakes. It's a part of the process. And let me tell you, I used to do a talk show called You Revealed Live. I did it for like 2 years. I have over 750 episodes. The more I did it, the more masterful I became at it. And then I took a hiatus for about 3 years. And so just getting back into it. And I was so nervous getting back into it. And I could see where there's still some glitches and that type of thing. But I realized if I just keep going, just keep putting a little paint on the house and not be so consumed about the mistakes. Take the mistakes as opportunities for you to learn and grow and to become more masterful at the skill. You need the feedback. Failure is just feedback. So expect mistakes and then expect to learn from the mistakes. So I'm going to make this a 2-part episode. I'm going to stop this video and then pick back up on the second video so that the video doesn't get too long. So these are the first 4 gaps, growth gaps that are standing in your way of career success. So check out the second video to learn what the next 4 gaps really are. Thank you for joining Real Women, Real Leaders, Real Talk. And I know that if you stay focused and stay intentional about your success, you will be able to take back, transform, and win at the career of your dreams.